Now for global business updates, Bosin Omofaye joins us. Good morning, Bosin.
Yeah, very good morning to the team. Good morning. Great morning to have you here. Thank you so much. Let's start as always with what's in the barrel of the oil. Prices rose early Asian trade Thursday, pairing sharp losses over the past two sessions after industry data showed an unexpected drop in U.S. crude stockpiles last week. Brent crude was down 0.07% to 74.17 a barrel by 6:57 GMT, while U.S. West Texas Intermediate was at $70.37 a barrel. That's just about 3 basis points in the red. In China, property stocks dropped following a briefing by the country's housing ministry, while the broader CSI 300 was up along the most other Asia-Pacific markets. The CSI 300 real estate index, which has gained over 5% Wednesday, fell 7%, while the benchmark CSI 300 was up 0.3%. In Hong Kong, the Hang Seng Index rose 0.5% following a number of policy announcements from the chief executive on Wednesday. In Japan, the Nikkei 225 slipped 0.1%. In Australia, the S&P ASX 200 rose 0.12% to end trading at 8,355. Keeping it in China, the country says it will expand wide list of real estate projects and speed up bank lending for these unfinished developments to 4 trillion yuan. That's roughly 560 billion US dollars, and that's by the end of this year, according to the Housing Ministry on Thursday. Ni Hong, China's Minister of Housing and Urban Rural Development, made the announcement at a press conference alongside officials from the Central Bank, the Finance Ministry, and the National Financial Regulatory Administration. A total of 2.23 trillion yuan had already been approved in loans to whitelisted developers. That figure will almost double to 4 trillion yuan by the end of this year, according to a senior official from the Financial Regulatory Administration. And the European Central Bank is likely to lower interest rates for the third time this year, Thursday, arguing inflation in the Eurozone is now increasingly under control and the economy is stagnating. The first back-to-back rate cut in 13 years will mark a shift in focus for the Eurozone Central Bank from bringing down inflation to protecting economic growth, which has lagged far behind that of the United States for 2 straight years. The latest economic data is likely to have tilted the balance within the ECB in favor of a rate cut, with business activity and sentiment surveys as well as inflation reading for September all coming in slightly lower than expected. And Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu has declared his intention to establish a minimum salary of 85,000 naira for state employees. Sanwo-Olu emphasized that the state's financial capacity is reflected in this decision rather than competition with other regions. He stated that he hoped to return in January 2025 with news of a 100,000 naira boost. Sanwo-Olu stated, "We increased compensation earlier this year and it's critical to keep up the good work. My goal is to declare that the minimum wage will be raised to 100,000. Making sure my staff are paid a living wage is the main goal, not beating anyone else," end of quote. Now, in the first 2 weeks of October, Nigeria's imports of premium motor spirit, also referred to as petrol, have drastically decreased as a result of the Dangote refinery's increased output to satisfy domestic demand. The S&P Global Commodity Insights ship tracking report, which was released on Tuesday, supports this. Only 280,400 barrels of gasoline and blend stock were imported into Nigeria by a single medium-range vessel during the first week of October, which extended on the 6th, according to data from S&P Global Commodities at Sea. Good morning.
That's why we're happy about the Dangote refinery. Normally, we would have expended forex to be able to make those imports. But at least we've saved that money. That's a good one. I'm happy about it. The question is, how can we consolidate now and ensure that we ramp up production locally to a point where we can become a net exporter? Secondly, I'm hearing that some of the marketers that feel disgruntled and say they're going to import. Please, we shouldn't. There are many other refineries coming on stream. Aradel just listed. Aradel stocks are doing good like wildfire. Tell anybody, jump on that.
Keep an eye on that.
Keep an eye on that. Jump on it. Jump on it. So it shows that we are ramping up the sector locally. But like I always make the argument, we must also look out for those, the poorest of the poor in the society. Because as we ramp up prices, it's going to cause a lot of problem. I was talking this morning about the deregulation of Reagan in the 80s, what it did for child poverty in America. So we need to think about that. And secondly, as regards Governor Sanwo-Olu, I give him kudos and commendation.
Minimum wage.
I say, for you, He says he's going to ramp it up to 100,000 because he feels the pain of people. And if the standard of living in other parts are different, that of Lagos is higher. It's a center of excellence. And that's what a leader should do. And give kudos to him. In fact, I spoke to him about it. When other states were still struggling to pay 30-something thousand, he was the first to, with wage awards, to pay over 70,000 in the first place. So when they finally made it 70,000, I said, no, I'm not going to stop of what I was paying before. So he ramped it up to 85,000. That's what leaders should do. And as regards the Eurozone, it shows to a large extent that inflation is coming down. So they are putting down interest rates because inflation is coming down. Here, we are still ramping up interest. Mr. Cardozo was saying on the other day that our goal now is to fight inflation. But the question again is entirely ramping up interest rate the best way to go when you are creating a stagflation with businesses?
It's a whole lot to chew there.
So let me start with Lagos State. Yes, good news there. It's 5,000 naira, the highest currently
for civil servants.
For civil servants, at least. Obviously, it would go higher as the levels go higher. One of the things I have to say is, number one, Lagos State has the highest IGR in Nigeria, and a distant second between it and the second, which is Rivers State. As at H1 in 2022, they were at 400 billion naira. The governor had said this year for 2024 during the budget cycle defense that he was looking to raise the IGR up to over 1 trillion naira. So that's an economic plan there, an opportunity to leverage, and part of that growth is said to be due to a very aggressive tax drive in the state as well. I mean, I'm not so sure about how much in terms of foreign direct investment. We've seen a number of states being hit by that and being able to attract investment. That's another opportunity to grow. But beyond the 85,000 naira, you can do the maths. Whilst it's a good number, the truth is, I already identified it with 85,000 naira in Lagos State could very well be 70,000 naira in, let's say, Borno State, or even more, because the cost of living is high here. So
yes,
beyond
inflation in Lagos.
inflation, so beyond the increase in salaries, we also suggest, we've often talked about it, that an environment for businesses, especially small businesses, which Lagos hosts quite a huge or a large number of, to thrive. Let's create jobs for Lagosians. I'm grateful for the Lagos State Employment Trust Fund. I know that government Sanwo-Olu and previous administrations have tried to really invest in that trust fund to ensure that they are creating job opportunities for Lagosians, that they are also being able to, to train people in skills to, start their own businesses. But let's look at multiple taxation. Let's look at the price of food. Onjeko, well done on that one. So these are some of the conversations to have, but it's a great move in the right direction. But just also put that into context that Lagos is also quite an expensive city to live, one of the most expensive cities in the world. So just put that side by side, that we need to do more to help the people to be able to survive. And I like that he said he's aiming for a living wage that people can actually let the take home be take home. For people in Lagos State. Yeah, and transportation as well. I want to say also they've tried to subsidize the cost of, which is a huge chunk of what people spend in Lagos State. But at least that's being subsidized. So just to mention some of the few things that should be considered.
On the international scene, inflation figures coming in as of yesterday evening in the United Kingdom indicated that inflation from the beginning of the year to September is down to 1.7%. What that means, lower airfares, we're told energy prices have been favorable. What it means is that the Bank of England has been able to go beyond its target of the 2% inflation rate. Now, interest rate in the United Kingdom is 5%. The expectation is that by November, inflation rate, will even go down further. So interest rate will fall further. So there's expectation in terms of interest rate cut. You talked about the European Central Bank. The European Central Bank meeting today, market watchers expect that the rate will be cut by about 25 basis points. That is the issue. And as you said, this will be about the third time that European Central Bank will be reducing rates. What you'll find in other parts of the world is that rates are going down. Now, yesterday I was talking about stocks, U.S. stocks, going down after they went so high on Monday. But the story of the U.S. stocks looks like a marathoner pausing to have a drink. And then you have a drink, you get more stamina, and then you just go up again. But this has been attributed to Morgan Stanley and United Airlines doing very well with their end of quarter earnings that were also announced yesterday. You talked about China. China, yes. The Minister of Housing, Ni Hong, address a press conference this morning, local time in China. And what are they talking about? The Whitelist Initiative. That Whitelist Initiative was introduced in January. And what's the purpose? To provide more lending opportunities to liaise banks for, real estate companies that have not fully developed. With the hope that the real estate sector in China, which are used to account, as at 2022, for more than a quarter of GDP growth in China, can be revived. Exactly. And now all businesses in that real estate sector, they've now been given the opportunity, to get more money to scale up. Remember, the argument was about stimulus, adding more stimulus after the initial steps were taken by China with repo rate, with other incentives within the economy. But we are certain that they cannot achieve 8.5% GDP growth rate that China had projected, but maybe they will be lucky to do 5%. Finally, as for Lagos, we can only congratulate Lagos State government for the confidence that Governor Sanwo-Olu has shown and for the boldness with which he has said we can do more. Edo State was the first to do 70,000. I think Ondo State is doing 77,000. What this speaks to is the role of the subnationals. Oftentimes we just talk about the federal government. But I think Sanwo-Olu and the other states, governors, they've shown that the subnationals too can fulfill the expectations of Nigerians under Section 14, 2B of the 1999 Constitution. That is, to show confidence, believe in the welfare of the people.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much, Bosun.
Thank you so much. See you again tomorrow.